Hey there, everyone. Thanks for tuning in again. Woody Bendle here from Next Level Growth Strategies. This week's business tip is probably different from anything you've ever heard before. What we're going to do is discuss an approach for identifying pain points within your organization that need to be addressed. And while this approach isn't necessarily profound, we have found that when we begin working with new clients and ask these handful of questions, that all of a sudden the fog of uncertainty lifts and priorities become much clearer. And you know we're all about clarity, right? All right, stick around then because I know you are not going to want to miss out on this week's clarifying tip. Okay, welcome back everyone. And before we jump on in, if you're a fan of our videos, be sure to give us a like and go ahead and subscribe to our YouTube channel so you never miss out on one of our weekly business tips. So let's cut right to the chase. I'm going to ask you a few questions right now that you've probably never been asked before. You might want to grab a pen and a piece of paper and write these down, but you can always watch this video again and I'll provide the questions in the description down below. Number 1, what is the worst thing your customers will say about you? And when I say you here, I mean your organization and your brand. Number 2, what is the worst thing your vendors will say about you? Number 3, what's the worst thing your shareholders or investors will say about you? Number 4, what's the worst thing your competitors will say about you? And number 5, what's the worst thing your employees will say about you? What we're talking about here is your brand's reputation and in particular where your reputation might be lacking. And while we all like to focus on the positives, and heck, there's even a body of thought out there that says that you need to focus on your strengths. What I will, however, say is that we regularly find at least one thing that surfaces from these 5 questions that is holding your organization or your brand back. Now, let me just say that worst is always a relative thing. And for some organizations, that worst thing might not be all that bad. But for the majority of the organizations I've worked with over the years, there is usually at least one of these things that needs to be addressed. And sometimes it is critical for the organization's future that it does get addressed. And immediately. For example, we recently asked these questions to the CEO of an organization that's been around for about 20 years. Now, he had to think about each of these questions for a little while, but he did provide some really insightful answers. And one in particular felt like it was more of a confession. He said that they knew they had challenges in fulfillment and servicing their customers after the sale. They've known it's been an issue, but they haven't had the time, nor have they prioritized the resources needed to tackle it. Now, these guys had been collecting customer satisfaction data for quite a while, and sure enough, it clearly pointed to this area of their business as being a problem. And even while they did know this was an issue, they didn't know how big of an issue it really was for them. And when they shared some of their data with us, we were able to quantify it for them. And as it turned out, customers in this industry expect the fulfillment and post-sale process to be frictionless, and that you don't get any bonus points for being exceptional here. But if there are any issues with any aspect of this, it's a huge penalty. In fact, their customers who were not completely satisfied with their fulfillment and post-sales process were 20 times less likely to purchase from them again, meaning they pretty much lost these people as customers in the future. Ouch. Okay, so here's this week's business tip. None of us like knowing that we've got issues or that we've got things that are hurting our reputation or our business. But sticking your head in the sand doesn't make these things go away. And if ignored, some of these things can be game changers for your business, and not the type of game changer that you're wanting. As business leaders and business owners, you always have more things on your plate than you can handle. That's just the nature of business. And prioritizing which of these things to take on or address is just another one of those things on your plate. And sometimes asking yourself a few hard questions will help bring some clarity to this dilemma. Do yourself a favor and give these questions some serious thought and be totally honest with yourself. So, what is the worst thing your customers, your vendors, your shareholders, your competitors, and finally your employees will say about you? I'm betting you'll come up with an answer that, if addressed, can be a huge positive game changer for your organization and brand and your business. I mean, what's the worst that can happen? All right then, so there you have it. That's this week's tip for getting your organization to its next level of profitable growth by creating clarity, alignment, and consistency. And if you'd like someone to help you out with any of this, be sure to give us a call. Thank you again for watching, and we'll see you next time.